الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن محمدًا رسول الله أشهد أن محمدًا رسول الله حي على الصلاة حي على الصلاة حي على الفلاح حي على الفلاح الله أكبر الله أكبر لا إله إلا الله
إن الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونؤمن به ونتوكل عليه ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا من يهد الله فهو المهتد ومن يضلل فلن تجد له وليا مرشدا وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله اللهم صل على محمد وعلى آل محمد كما صليت على إبراهيم وعلى آل إبراهيم إنك حميد مجيد اللهم بارك على محمد وعلى آل محمد كما باركت على إبراهيم وعلى آل إبراهيم إنك حميد مجيد إن خير الكلام كلام الله وخير الهدي هدي محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم وشر الأمور محدثاتها وكل محدثة بدعة وكل بدعة ضلالة وكل ضلالة في النار قال الله تعالى في القرآن الكريم يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله حق تقاته ولا تموتن إلا وأنتم مسلمون أما بعد فأعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم هو الذي أرسل رسوله بالهدى ودين الحق ليظهره على الدين كله ولو كره المشركون صدق الله العلي العظيم. My brothers and sisters, the verse of the Quran that you just heard, it is from Surah At-Tawbah, Medina chapter, came toward the end of the seerah of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. It actually highlights a very important objective wisdom that why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sent Muhammadur Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam as the last prophet of Allah, as the imam, as the qudwa, as the leader for the whole mankind. My brothers and sisters, Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, his purpose was not prime objective was not to make us ruhban, monks who just know Sawm and Salah. Before Islam, people had worshipped so much that Rasulullah and Sahaba, their worship would look of less value, of a little value. This is how much the monks used to worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. No, didn't send you on this earth to become monks. Purpose of not just Muslims, but all the people before who came, who were the followers of Anbiya of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, was iqamatud deen. This is what this verse is talking about. And not only Rasulullah, even before, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala told them, وَلَوْ أَنَّهُمْ أَقَامُوا التَّوْرَاةَ وَالْإِنْجِيلَ وَمَا أُنزِلَ إِلَيْهِمْ مِنْ رَبِّهِمْ لَأَكَلُوا مِنْ فَوْقِهِمْ وَمِنْ تَحْتِ أَرْجُلِهِمْ مِنْهُمْ أُمَّةٌ مُقْتَصِدَةٌ وَكَثِيرٌ مِنْهُمْ سَاءَ مَا يَعْمَلُونَ. When Iqamatul Deen happens, when Iqamatul Kitab happens, my brothers and sisters, everything falls in the right place. Whether it is Salah, whether it is Sawm, whether it is Qudah, judgments, prayers, courts, your rulings, everything falls in the right place. When the book of Allah is the Hakim, not a man. This is a shirk to accept a man as your Hakim over Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That is why Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam told people that Sayyidul Qawm is their Khadim. Leader of the people is their servant. He is like that Abu Bakr and Umar, who you cannot find even with an extra piece of dress. Umar ibn Khattab radiallahu anhu once came so late for the khutbah that people were angry, or sort of complaining. They said, "Oh Amir al-Mu'mineen, today we have been waiting for so long. It is very unusual. They were waiting so long, and look how long they waited." He said, "By God, if I had an extra shirt, I would have been here. By God, if I had an extra shirt, I would have been here. My shirt became dirty. I had to wash it and get it dried, wait for it to be dried, and then I came." And they said, this is documented with authentic riwayat, that even that shirt had 8 patches. 8. Allahu Akbar. This is not a prestige to lead people. That is why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is telling that purpose of Nabi is first to teach people the hikmah, the burhan, who is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He teaches you. He teaches you about akhirah. Quran tells and then He explains. He gives you the hikmah, the burhan behind these things. And then after that, not just keep it in Medina, take it to all over the world. Take this message to the whole world. And that is why when Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam died, my brothers and sisters, the ruler of the whole Jaziratul Arab, hitting the borders of Africa, getting near Europe, all of it was under the rulership of this book. This was the Hakim, not people. This is the true democracy that no one on this earth can practice. Even those who go to other countries say, "We will give you democracy," they fail because their objective is wrong. Iqamatul Kitab. This is what Rasulullah had established. That an average person would stand up in the khutbah and ask Amir al-Mu'mineen, that Amir al-Mu'mineen, Umar, who are you to say if Allah has not fixed the dowry? A woman stood up, and Amir al-Mu'mineen says, "Woman is right." So my brothers and sisters, the day we left that, the day Quran was no longer the ruler, the day people became the rulers, like Romans and Persians used to do, our downfall started. People stopped coming into Islam. First century of Islam. Some people went to collect jizya, tax, from one of the states. First century. And the ruler of that state asked these people that, "Who are you people? You do not look like those people that we used to deal with. Those people used to come in dirty, wretched clothes. Dirty clothes. They didn't have this protocol, an entourage with them. VIPs. They did not look like you. By God, but we had a fear of them. They didn't have power, weapons, or anything. Who are you? We don't feel afraid of you. We don't feel that we should give you jizya." And they started crying. They said those were the companions of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. He said, "Then leave. No jizya." Until Banu Abbas, this state was one of the rebellious states that never paid tax, even though Muslims were guaranteeing their protection, the concept of jizya. Unfortunately, that is also being misrepresented in the media quite a lot, terribly, as if we are here working for jizya, to get jizya from non-Muslims. That's wrong. You have to defend Islam, my brothers and sisters. But how would you defend it if you don't know what is Islam? So my brothers and sisters, all the corruption actually that started in this ummah, it started because of that counter-revolution. One of the great scholars of Ahl Sunnah wal Jama'ah from Pakistan, India, Pakistan, both subcontinent, he said once that it was a counter-revolution against the revolution of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, which he had prophesied. And that is why I'm taking you back where I left off before the last Friday, 2 weeks ago, that Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, when he had told us that after me there is no prophets, the job of prophets will be done by Khulafa al-Rashideen al-Mahdiyin, guided Khalifas. And he told them that it will only be for 30 years. After that you will have tyrant kingdom. And I brought to you a hadith, another hadith to support it, where Safina radiallahu anhu met some of the tabi'een. He said, when we go to the rulers, they say we are of the good people, we are of the good khulafa. He says, no, but they are of the worst kings. Tirmidhi, Jami' al-Tirmidhi, and other books of hadith, Sahahahu Albani, wa Zubair Ali Zayd, wa other muhaddithun. Many other muhaddithin have graded this hadith as sahih. Of course, Imam Tirmidhi himself narrates this as a sahih report. This is a double, triple confirmation. How it is a tyrant kingdom, my brothers and sisters, how we left that path that Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam gave us, where Hakim was book of Allah. I'll give you another beautiful but sad example. It has lessons for us to learn also, that leaders of this ummah need to know, and they need to tell their leaders. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, "La ta'ata li makhluqin fi ma'siyati al-khaliq." This is the message of Quran. This is the message that Rasulullah taught us. That when people disobey Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, when they are rebellious, you don't obey them in that rebellion. When they are disobeying Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, you don't obey them at the expense of Allah's disobedience. Allah told us in the Quran, أطيعوا الله وأطيعوا الرسول وأولي الأمر منكم فإن تنازعتم في شيء. Obey Allah, Rasul and your leaders, but if they disobey Allah and His Rasul, فَرُدُّوهُ إِلَى اللَّهِ وَالرَّسُولِ إِن كُنتُمْ تُؤْمِنُونَ بِاللَّهِ وَالْيَوْمِ الْآخِرِ. My brothers and sisters, this is the message. If you are true believers in Allah and His Rasul, and on the day of judgment, of course, then you follow this. This is the hukum. Amr bil ma'roof, nahi anil munkar, my brothers and sisters, this is part of our aqidah. Belief system, prayers, fasting, worship, these things come later. Aqidah, belief is the most important thing. That is why Imam Muslim brought this hadith in Sahih Muslim, Book of Iman, that whoever sees munkar, wrong, he must change it with his hand first. We all know this famous hadith. I believe it's 177 in Sahih Muslim. For the sake of time, I will just quickly mention, but if you need the reference, exact reference, I will give it to you, inshallah. You all know this hadith, it's a very famous hadith. Remove it with your hand first. If not with the hand, then with your tongue. If not that, then at least keep it, consider it bad in your heart. And there is no grain of seed after this, a seed of Iman, no single grain or seed of Iman after this. If you start feeling evil in your hearts, then you have no Iman. No matter how many salawat you do, 5 or 50, no Iman is left. Allahu Akbar. That's a disaster. That is why, my brothers and sisters, when wrong happens, you and I, even today, our job is to stand against the wrong or speak at, especially the khutbah of this ummah, leaders of this ummah, imams, scholars, mashayikh, they do that. Many of them have done that, and many of them face persecution for that. Consequences. And those who keep quiet, they don't get ajr from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. They are on the lowest of the states of Iman, as long as they consider it wrong. But you know what is the irony today? Irony today is that when evil happens, when Muslims get persecuted, you have some so-called scholars who, God knows why, they have sold their Iman for, thamanan qalila, ishtaraw bihi thamanan qalila. They stand up and they defend the dictators. They defend the corrupt. They defend the criminals of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Allahu Akbar. What is this? This is Islam? That's a disaster. And it all started in the 1st century, and otherwise we had no case study. This is for case study. Learn your deen from this. Our objective is not to do sab wa shatam la'an wa ta'an. This is not our objective. Ahlul Sunnah wal Jama'ah don't believe in that. We learn deen from this. Principles of deen. So I'll tell you the story. After Sayyidina Hassan radiallahu anhu, he passed away. Actually, he gave up the leadership, signed a peace agreement, and you will know the peace agreement from the last year's khutbah. I won't go to that in details. One of the leaders, commanders of Muslim army, under the command of Amir Muawiyah radiallahu anhu, had victory over one territory. When he had victory over one territory, he gets ordered from the Amir, and Imam al-Bani brought this story in Silsilatul Ahadith al-Sahihah, under the sharh of this hadith. Under the sharh of this hadith. Watch it. This is the implication of the hadith. That how did Sahaba act on this? A Sahabi of Rasulullah wins the battle. There's a lot of spoils of the war, booties as you call it. He gets a letter from Sham, from Damashq, that send me all the gold and silver and take the rest of the leftovers, give it to the soldiers. He said, this is against the hukum of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And he wrote a letter back. He said, I will distribute it as Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam used to do it. I will not obey your orders in this. Because Rasulullah taught us, لا طاعة لمخلوق في معصية الخالق. He wrote a letter back. And he said, people come, this is ghanaim, and this is how we distribute it, and as the due share goes to the hakim, we will send that share back, not gold and silver only, and give you the valueless items. He gets prisoned after that. This is mentioned in Silsilatul Ahadith al-Sahihah. He was jailed. That is why, my brothers and sisters, as I told you before, us, Ahlul Sunnah wal Jama'ah, this is in our books, and we need to know this. That what was it that Sayyidina Hussein radiallahu anhu stood against this counter-revolution? We need to know the asbab. Why did Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam call it Mulkan Adud? Why did he call it a tyrant kingdom? Mulkan Adud means a tyrant kingdom after 30 years. Many, many terrible things happened to the companions of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. One of them you just heard. Sahabi was jailed. Another one, Sahabi number 3906 in Usdul Ghaba fi Ma'rifat al-Sahaba by Imam Ibn Athir. I always flip his name and say Ibn Sirin. He's Ibn Athir. First companion, this cutting of the heads, this Sunnah Qabiha started in that time. Not from the order of Damashq. No, I'm not saying that. But it happened in that era also. One of the companions of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, Amr ibn Hamid al-Khuza'i radiyallahu anh, Sahabi number 3906. This is a book on Ahwal al-Sahaba. One of the 3 major sources for us to learn about the Sahaba radiyallahu anhum ajma'in. Our source. Because we are the ones who believe in such a thing as companions of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, Ahlul Sunnah wal Jama'ah. أول رأس حمل في الإسلام. He was hiding in a cave. He was arrested by his soldiers. Head was chopped off. This is how it started. Today you hear about cutting of the heads. This is where it started from. Sunnah Qabiha. Rasulullah Nahan. He ordered companions never to do this. It is considered mutilation in Islam. Put in her laps. And all the rijal of this riwayah are thiqa. And she kissed her forehead and she said, Abayt Sha'r. This is also documented. She said, oh, they kept you away from me for such a long time, and look how you have been brought to me. Another companion of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, Hujr ibn Adi radiallahu anhu, such a pious man, such a pious companion, at the age of 80, companions of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam used to say, call him, that if we had ruhban, this Sahabi would be a rahib, like a monk of Ashab Rasulullah. Harmless man. He protested in Kufa. Companions were used to this. If they saw something wrong, they would say it. He protested in Kufa, and he was arrested there by Ziyad, one of the governors appointed by our Amir radiallahu anhu. His governor did that, arrested him, took him to the area in Iraq that he conquered. This companion once conquered that area at the age of 80 with his companions, dug the graves and say, we will kill you here. And he asked, we learned deen from actually this qissa. 2 examples in Islam. This is one of those. He said, would you please allow me to pray 2 rak'ah? I want to pray 2 rak'ah before I die. And this is now, ulama of Islam say, it is a sunnah of the companions of Rasulullah ﷺ that before you die, if you know that somebody is going to take your life, you can pray 2 rak'ah, 2 nafil. It becomes a sunnah. Last prayer before you die. And he prayed, just like Zayd ibn Dasna, radiallahu anhu, in Bukhari. He said, by God, I never enjoyed my prayer more than this day. Never. And if I was not afraid of you people making fun of me that I'm afraid to die, I would have prolonged this prayer as long as I could. But I kept it very short. But I had the sweetness of Iman in this salah. Him and his companions were killed mercilessly, and he said, people, do not put kafan on my body. I will ask about all these rulers, and including our leader in Sham, that they never even gave me a chance to explain myself. They called him a baghi and killed him. This was happening to the Sahaba of Rasulullah ﷺ. Another great companion of Rasulullah ﷺ, we have a hadith from him, over 1,000 hadith. Abu Sa'id al-Khudri radiallahu ta'ala anhu. By the way, Hujr, when he was dying, they dug the grave. They said, we can spare your life on one case. If you just say, La'anatullah ala Abi Turab, astaghfirullah, on Ali, we will forgive you. We will consider you as our person. He said, astaghfirullah. Rasulullah told us to love him, and you want me to do la'ana on him? No. Just because I see graves, I will not do that. Abu Sa'id al-Khudri radiallahu anhu, and this is mentioned in Tafsir ibn Kathir also. He quoted a hadith, لا هجرة, very famous hadith, لا هجرة بعد الفتح ولكن جهاد ونية. After the Fath of Makkah, and this is muttafaqun alayh, and I have it from Sahih Muslim. This is, I'm bringing it to you from Sahih Muslim, hadith number 4000. Now it's forgot the numbering here. So anyway, very famous story. Actually, I have the numbering here from Musnad Hanbal also. This is in Musnad of Imam Ahmad ibn Hanbal, Sahih Riwayah, and Ibn Kathir also brought this. He quoted this hadith about إِذَا جَاءَ نَصْرُ اللَّهِ وَالْفَتْحِ in the tafsir of Surah Al-Fath, Surah Al-Nasr. When he quoted this hadith in Medina, one of the governors appointed by Amir Muawiyah radiallahu anhu, his name is Marwan ibn Hakam. Marwan ibn Hakam, when he heard the hadith from Abu Sa'id, he said, Kadabt, you have lied. A'udhu billah. We never say that to the Sahaba, that you are lying or anything. And not only that, he said, people, he called the Jallad, he says, whip him right now. He's lying. And when they were about to whip him, Abu Sa'id said, for God's sake, let me explain myself. For God's sake, let me explain myself. These two that are sitting here, they know. Ask them, that isn't this a hadith of Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam? Am I not telling the true hadith of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam? Ask them too. One of them is scared of you, and one of them is given the department of zakah, mahkamah of zakah. That is why they're quiet. So he stopped. He actually had the whip in his hand. He took the whip away. Imam Ahmad ibn Hanbal brought this in his Muslim. And he said, tell me if he's right. They said, yes. He's telling the true hadith. Then he stopped. He didn't whip him. This is some cases of the many that what was happening to the Sahaba of Rasulullah. And the last thing in our deen that we see as a dalil that Rasulullah told us, the Sahih hadith, that when your sultan is appointed by haqq, he's not from dhulm, you give him every excuse until salah is correct. Many of you know that hadith. Until salah. This is a fatwa also by many ulama that if your hukam have established salah, then you cannot do anything against them. You have to give them every chance. What happened to the salah of Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam? My brothers and sisters, today one small bid'ah you see in the prayer, you jump, you get shocked. Sometimes it's not even a bid'ah. Maybe it's bid'ah to you. Just you are thinking. Look what happened to the salah of Rasulullah. These are abwab, chapters in the books of hadith, that what was happening to salah? Dhuhr was prayed with Asr at the time of Maghrib. Times of salah were upside down. Times, awqat al-salah were gone. Abwab in the books of hadith. In these 20 years, that Hussein was silent. If you read this, then you will know that why this man stood up with his women and children. These are the asbab. Many Karbalas were happening. Sahaba were being silenced by force. Allahu Akbar. Times of salah were upside down. Takbirat. People stopped doing takbirat of salah. It reached so bad that Abu Hurairah radiallahu anhu was once praying and he was doing the takbirat. All Allahu Akbar first, takbiratul ihram, second, third. You know, every step in salah you do takbir. Today it looks like, wow, that was happening. So Abu Hurairah did this salah in Mecca. One of the tabi'een, he looked at Abu Hurairah, he says, this old man is Masnoon, he's praying like this. We've never seen him pray like that. Ibn Abbas said, may your mother have never borne you. Thakalat ummuk. Are you crazy? This is sunnah of Rasulullah. So salah was all upside down. Imagine people are following the imam by looking at him, how he goes to ruku, how he goes to sujood. They don't hear Allahu Akbar. Takbirat of salah were upside down. These are ahadith, Bukhari, Muslim, Tirmidhi, Ibn Majah. Open any of the Sahih Sitta. You will find these sahih ahadith. Allahu Akbar. Jumu'ah. Today people argue, oh, this Jumu'ah, second Jumu'ah is so late and this and that. Jumu'ah was being prayed near Maghrib. Hassan al-Basri report this, that 100,000 people were listening to the khutbah of Hajjaj ibn Yusuf al-Thaqafi. 100,000 people, not one of the Muslims had the courage or the guts to stand up and say that this is wrong. They were scared. Heads were being chopped off. Or if someone wanted to get up, the other one will tap at him. These are sahih riwayat. Don't, you want to get your head cut off? Don't do that. Jumu'ah, in the Jumu'ah prayers, in the khutbah, they used to say, La'natullah ala fulan wa fulan wa fulan. So this sunnah qabiha today is being established by some other Muslims, and by this member I request them that please do not continue this bid'ah that was invented by Banu Umayyah. You are doing the same thing that Banu Umayyah used to do. There are people today who in their khutbah do la'na on the Sahaba. This is the same sunnah qabiha that they're doing. How can they be against them? If you want to be against them, then don't do what they used to do. Don't repeat the same thing. In the Jumu'ah prayer. And Sahih, this is muttafaqun alayh. Sahih Muslim and Bukhari both. You all pray Eid, Salah first and then Khutbah. Imam Ibn Hazm also mentions this in his Al-Muhalla. That why did they do that? He tells you the reason also. This is your assignment to check in Al-Muhalla. Why did they used to do that? Assignment. He said that when Marwan was going toward the minbar and Abu Sa'id pulled his cloak. He said, what are you doing? You have to do salah first. Don't you know the sunnah of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam? We do salah first, then khutbah. He said, those days are gone. Muttafaqun alayh. Muttafaqun alayh. Bukhari and Muslim both. أقول قولي هذا وأستغفر الله لي ولكم. إن الحمد لله الصلاة والسلام على رسول الله أما بعد. My brothers and sisters, these are some of the asbab, reasons that the family of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, Sayyidina Hussein and 18 members who were from the button of Fatima radiallahu anha. And Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, whoever harmed Fatima, he has harmed me. Whoever has harmed her, he has harmed me. And who has harmed me, he has harmed Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And in Tuhfatul Ahwadi, Sharh of Jami' Tirmidhi, Imam al-Bani says, if ulama of Hind had not given any book to the Ummah, if this Sharh was the only book they gave to the Ummah, would have been enough. He says, by God, there is nothing more painful to Fatima than slaughtering her own children. Ask any mother today, ask that mother who lost her child yesterday. Ask her, and you will know how it feels, losing a loved one like that. Different topic. I beg you in the name of Allah, please don't destroy your Friday in the shoppings. This is Sayyidul Ayyam. You can go to shopping after the prayer. But please, I have seen people missing Fajr and going to the shopping malls in the Fajr time. SubhanAllah, they've never been to the masjid. How about this? You try to come to the masjid on that day of the Fajr. Because you can go to the mall at the time of Fajr, right? So why don't you come to the masjid? Do not skip Jumu'ah for that. Please, bazaar are the most hated places by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And masajid are loved by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala guide us all. In the end, we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to forgive all the Muslims that have passed away. Allahumma ighfir li jami'il mu'minina wal mu'minat wal muslimina wal muslimat al ahya'i minhum wal amwat الذين شهدوا لك بالوحدانية وبالرسالة نبيك محمد صلى الله عليه وآله وسلم إن الله وملائكته يصلون على النبي يا أيها الذين آمنوا صلوا عليه وسلموا تسليما اللهم صل وسلم على نبينا محمد وعلى آل محمد وبارك وسلم وآخر السلام.